네, 영독하다가 메리우스 편을 영독하다가 중간에 끊겼습니다. 휴대폰 용량이 모자라서 자동으로 끊겼네요. 지금 보이는 그림은 그 메리우스와 거제트가 아름다운 봄과 같고 뜨거운 여름같이 사랑을 나누는 그 시기를 묘사한 그림입니다. 정말 예쁘죠? 부럽습니다. 그죠? 막 입맞춤도 하고 온화하게 웃고 속삭이고 그죠? 아름다운 사랑이네요. 그리고 이 이후에 이제 사랑에 빠져서 있는데 이 뒷장으로 넘어가면 장발장이 프랑스가 위험하니 영국으로 가야 해 라고 그 코제트한테 얘기하고 이제 이 독서가 끊겼는데요. 그 뒷얘기를 한번 이어가도록 하겠습니다. That evening in the Rue Plumet garden, there were many unhappy tears. 루플림의 가든에서 그날 저녁에 불행한 눈물들이 많이 있었습니다. 많이 흘렸다는 얘기겠죠. But you must follow us to England. 하지만 당신도 우리를 따라서 영국으로 가야 해요. cried Cosette. 거제트가 울먹이면서 외쳤겠죠. How can I do that? 내가 어떻게 그럴 수 있겠어? cried Marius. 메리우스가 외쳤습니다. I have no money, no passport even. 난 돈도 없고 심지어 여권도 없어. England to me is like the moon. 영국은 나한테는 달과 같아. 그만큼 가기 힘들다는 거죠. They held hands in the moonlight. 그들은 달빛 아래에서 손을 잡았습니다. Listen, I have an idea. 들어봐, 나 생각이 있어. Marius said slowly. 메리가 천천히 말했습니다. Wait 2 days. Perhaps 이틀만 기다려줘. 아마도 2 days? 이틀요? cried Cosette. 코제트가 울면서 말합니다. How can I live 2 days without you? 내가 어떻게 이틀 동안 당신 없이 지낼 수 있을까요? 여기까지가 일단 메리우스에 대한 주제로 끝나는 이야기죠. 일단은 이 다음은 다음 영상에서 독서하고요. 오늘은 이제 전체 영독하도록 하겠습니다. 물론 메리우스 편을 말하는 거죠. 9 years pass. Valien and Cosette are living in the Rue Plumet in Paris in a house with a big garden. It is a quiet street and nobody comes there. This pleases Valien because he is still afraid of Inspector Javert. Cosette is now a young woman. She is tall with golden brown hair. She is beautiful, but there are many beautiful faces in the world. The wonderful thing about Cosette's face is her smile, a slow, warm, gentle smile like sunlight after rain. And now we must meet Marius and his young friend Gavrichu. Marius is a student, a young man with many ideas but no money. Paris is full of a young man like this. Marius has a grandfather. His father is dead, but he does not talk to him. Their political ideas are very different. At 17, he lives home with 30 francs, has a watch and a small bag of clothes. Now, 5 years older, he lives with other students and they talk all night about books and ideas, politics and government, life and death. All students are like this. They live for ideas and do a little work here and there when they need to. Gavrichu is a child of the Paris streets. He is 11 or 12 years old and wears a man's trousers and a woman's shirt. A kind woman gave these clothes to him. He lives on the streets, knows everybody, goes everywhere, and enjoys life. Well, why not? He knows no other life, only this one. Marius loved walking through the streets and garden of Paris, and he often worked in the Luxembourg garden. One day in the garden, he saw a man with a young girl. The man was about 60, and the girl, Marius thought, was about 17. He did not see her eyes, but he saw her golden brown hair and her slow, gentle smile. He walked past them once and did not look back, but he came to the Luxembourg the next day, and the next day after that, and for the next 5 days. The man and the girl were always there. He could not stop looking at the girl. He wanted very much to see that smile again. On the 7th day, the girl turned her head and looked at Marius. She looked into his eyes across the garden. At that look went, like a volley from a gun, into Marius' heart. There were no words, but at once Marius knew and the girl knew. This was love. Life stopped for Marius then. He spent hours in the Luxembourg, and every time he saw her, the sun came out and all the birds in the garden began singing. But the man began to look at Marius too, and his face was not friendly. Marius was afraid, and he went to Gavroche. Gavroche, please, you must help me. Why? What's the matter, Monsieur Marius? There's a girl, Gavroche. She walks in the Luxembourg every day. I want you to follow her home and tell me the address. Why don't you follow her? I'm busy, said Gavroche. I'm afraid too, said Marius. Her father, grandfather, I don't know, is watching me. He doesn't like me. Why is this important, Monsieur Marius? Gavroche said. He had a big smile on his face. Because I'm in love, shouted Marius. Please, Gavroche, do it. Gavroche ran away laughing. 2 days later, he came to Marius' rooms. Rue Plumet, he said. Rue Plumet, he said. House at the end of the street. Hard to find. You need to look for it. Spring came and Cosette began to go out into the garden at Rue Plumet. She was usually alone. Her old servant, Toussaint, was always in the kitchen, and Father Jean-Valjean was in his room reading. Cosette was sad. She remembered the young man, the Luxembourg garden, but Father no longer wanted to go there. But that evening in the Rue Plumet garden, something very wonderful happened. She heard a voice, a man's voice. She looked around and it was him. I'm so sorry, he said. Please don't be afraid. I just wanted to... You remember the Luxembourg garden? I saw you there for the first time. I can't forget you. Day and night I think about you. Please don't be afraid. You see, I love you. It just happened to me. I can't stop it. Don't be afraid, please. Cosette listened to this wonderful river of words and then held out her hand to him. He took her hand and she pulled it to her and put it against her heart. Then, you love me? He said. Of course, you know that. A kiss. No words. They did not need words. Later, words came. The story of his life, the story of her life, everything. Between lovers, everything is interesting. When they were done with words, Cosette put her head on Marius' shoulder and asked, What is your name? My name is Marius. And yours? Cosette. Every evening, they met secretly in the garden at Rue Plumet. A kiss, a gentle laugh, whispered words of love. It was the spring and summer of their young lives. But around them, outside their garden, there was change. There were angry people. There were police and soldiers on the streets of Paris. And one day, Jean-Valjean said to Cosette, My dearest child, we live in dangerous times. We must leave France and go to England. Cosette looked at him with frightened eyes. Must we go, father? She said. Valerian watched her face. We must, he said. Get ready to leave very soon. There was a change in Cosette. Valerian remembered the young man in the Luxembourg garden, and he looked at Cosette's beautiful young face. He was afraid of losing his dear daughter. That evening in the Rue Plumet garden, there were many unhappy tears. But you must follow us to England, cried Cosette. How can I do that? Cried Marius. I have no money, no passport even. England to me is like the moon. They held hands in the moonlight. Listen, I have an idea. Marius said slowly. Wait 2 days. Perhaps 2 days? Cried Cosette. How can I live 2 days without you? 자, 여기까지 독서했고요. 네, 그 코제트는 28분 42초에서 39분 53초. 제가 그 밑에 그 영상 밑에 설명해 보면 클릭하시면은 그 맨 밑에 부분에 그 영국식 발음으로 그 이 리딩을 해주는 유튜브 채널을 링크해 뒀습니다. 아시죠? 거기서 28분 42초부터 39분 53초까지는 커제트에 대한 챕터 3가 있고 39분 54초부터 51분 15초까지는 메리우스에 대한 그 독서가 그 원어민 발음으로 있습니다. 제가 커제트에서는 그 읽기까지 완독을 했지만 제가 시간이 없어가지고 그때 그 영상 찍을 수 있는 그 용량이 없어서 뒤에 이 시간을 언급을 못 해드렸거든요. 이거 참고하셔서 커제트도 들어보시고 메리우스도 들어보고 영국식 발음으로도 연습 많이 따라 해보시고 독서 뭐 훈련 아니면 독서를 즐기시기 바랍니다. 저는 그냥 영어식으로 했고요. 미국식으로. 어쨌거나 내용을 함께 봤으니까 아마 다시 들으면 그 내용이 다 기억이 나실 겁니다. 그렇게 해서 한 5번에서 10번 그냥 주구장창 들으면 그냥 영어가 들리고 내용도 생각이 나죠. 자, 오늘 어떻게 유익한 시간이 됐는지 모르겠습니다. 오늘 좀 여기는 비도 조금 부슬부슬 오고요. 제가 컨디션이 나쁘진 않는데 오늘 영상 이거 별거 아닌 거 가지고 막 여러 번 반복해서 촬영하니까 조금 기가 빨리네요. 이제 연휴의 마지막 날이죠. 오늘은 개천절이라 쉬고 계시는 분들이 계실 텐데 마무리 잘 하시고 지금 9시 37분이니까 아마 이 영상 한 10시 반 안에는 올라가겠죠? 독서 좀 많이 이용해 주시고 좋아요, 구독, 알림 설정 꼭 부탁드리고요. 코멘트 달아주셔도 됩니다. 제가 흔들리는 동영상 그 화면은 어떻게 할 수는 없는데 지금 제가 다른 것도 하고 하니까 체력적으로 그냥 할 수는 없고 또 솔직히 딱 고정으로 하면은 좀 재미가 없는 것 같더라고요. 조금 생동감 있게 제가 이거 들고 있는데도 사실은 힘들긴 하거든요. 그냥 이거 그냥 즐겨주시기 바라고 이동하실 때 또 많이 들어주시기 바랍니다. 그리고 차 한잔할 때 듣기 좋은 재즈 음악도 올려놨고요. 제가 개인적으로 좋아하는 일렉트로닉 뮤직도 있으니까 한 번씩 들어봐 주시면 감사하겠습니다. 그리고 친구분들한테 소개도 좀 부탁드립니다. 자, 그러면 오늘 마무리 잘 하시고 좋은 밤 되세요. 다음 영상에서 뵙겠습니다. 안녕.